Right when the woman was about to surprise her fiancé with a proposal, she caught him making out with her best friend. She'd been blind for a year, a sacrifice she made to save him from a disaster, and this was how he repaid her. Thinking she couldn't see anything, her best friend sat with the fiancé and whispered that this was their last chance before the wedding. In that moment, the woman could suddenly see everything perfectly clearly. Her whole world fell apart when she saw the messages flashing on a giant screen. It turned out to be a cruel bet. His friends had made a bet on who would dare to hook up with her best friend, right in front of his blind fiancé. They were making fun of her in text messages, sure that she couldn't see anything. But the worst betrayal was still to come. Her fiancé cornered her, playing the victim, but she just calmly asked if his friends were showing off in their new house. To teach them all a lesson, she pulled him into a deep kiss which shocked everyone in the room. She then pretended to be tired and asked him to take her to their room. When he went back downstairs, she stood at the top of the stairs, listening closely. She overheard him telling his friend the cold hard truth. He admitted he was only marrying her out of guilt because she went blind for him. He said she was boring and confessed he needed the excitement her best friend gave him, promising his friend it was just a little fun before the wedding. The woman walked into her new home and found her fiancé's identical twin brother coming out of the shower. It turned out she was part of a cruel game. Her real fiancé had hired his twin to pretend to be him, all just to win a bet with his friends. The brother, though, started to have real feelings for her. He found out that her fiancé was only marrying her for her family's money and even planned on hurting her after he got what he wanted. He tried to warn her, but his brother had already set a trap. His best friend betrayed him with his girlfriend, laughing as she called his blind fiancé a fool for trusting a substitute. He raced to her room, his heart pounding. He burst in, ready to fight, but stopped when he saw them together. His brother was putting eye drops in for her, their faces just inches apart. Confused, he claimed he was just dropping something off, a lame excuse that just hung in the air. The woman, not knowing about the tension, thanked him for the gift. It wasn't until after he left that she realized what was going on. Her phone buzzed with a picture from a group chat of her with her new lover, with a green hat emoji as the caption. The betrayal hit her like a punch to the gut. The mother screamed in anger, pointing a finger at her own daughter-in-law and yelling, "How dare you cheat!" This happened right after the blind woman walked through the door. What no one knew was that this was all part of a trap. Just a few moments before, her real husband was at home with his parents and his mistress when he got a phone call. It was from a guy he had hired to pretend to be his wife's loving partner. The guy was on a date with the blind wife but called the real husband to get him to pay for dinner, shamelessly using the blind wife as an excuse for a free meal. After the date, while the wife was waiting for the car, she got a video call. It was from her best friend, who is now her husband's mistress, sitting closely with him and his parents. The mistress showed off her position, calling the wife's in-laws mom and dad, and telling the wife she was having the happiest moment of her life. The wife was crushed as she watched her husband and his family celebrating with the woman who had replaced her. Furious, she decided to play their game. When the hired husband came back with the car, she told him she didn't want to go home but wanted to go somewhere fun instead. Back at the party, the mother was complimenting the mistress, saying she was the perfect daughter-in-law, while complaining that her son was forced by a contract to marry the blind girl, who was now just an embarrassment. At that exact moment, the blind wife walked in. Her mother-in-law immediately accused her of cheating, and her father-in-law called her shameless. But the real husband quickly covered his parents' mouths, explaining that he hired the guy to act as her partner to create an alibi for himself to get out of the house. As the guests started to whisper, the wife calmly walked past her best friend and used her cane to trip her, making her fall to the ground. The mistress cried out in pain. The blind wife pretended to be innocent and asked, "What was that sound?" She then turned to the mistress and asked why she was at the Jang family home, when she had just said on the video call that she was with her own boyfriend, exposing her lies in front of everyone. The husband threw his arms around his mistress, covering her mouth right as she was about to reveal that he was her boyfriend. The blind wife looked toward the sound of his voice, confused as his parents quickly lied and claimed he was just a new servant. After forcing the mistress to sit down, the wife lectured her, saying that as a servant for the Jiang family, she needed to learn some rules. The hired husband then confronted the real husband, demanding to know why he brought the mistress to his own house, but the husband replied he had no idea she would show up. Later at dinner, the blind wife asked the hired husband to feed her a piece of cake. As he did, her real husband glared at them, furious, while his sister and mother made fun of the wife for being helpless. But the wife calmly said back that she had served her husband all night and was tired, so now he was making it up to her. The comment was so suggestive that the entire table was shocked into silence. Her husband was boiling with jealousy. Seeing her son's distress, the mistress came up with a plan. She walked over to the blind wife's seat and secretly dropped something into her drink, then offered it to her, claiming it was a gesture of apology. But the wife refused, handing the glass back and demanding the mistress drink it herself to prove she was sincere. Cornered, the mistress had no choice but to drink the drug liquid. As she started to feel dizzy and began to throw up, the blind wife stood up and slapped her husband across the face. "I smelled something gross," she said, pretending she thought he was a bug. Humiliated in front of his entire family, the husband was speechless. The wife, satisfied, took the hired husband's arm, apologized for hitting him, and then kissed him passionately, leaving everyone, especially her real husband, stunned. What they didn't know was that she had already overheard her mother-in-law plotting to get her shares of the company by proving she cheated, a plan the blind wife secretly signed off on, setting them up for an even bigger fall. As soon as the wife was out of sight, her sister-in-law confronted her, revealing she had overheard the wife admitting to faking her blindness. The wife coolly threatened her, warning her to keep quiet about a secret from her past and reminding her that she was a fake daughter who had stolen her rightful place. Panicked, the sister-in-law backed down. Later, a woman flirted with a hired husband, offering him money to pretend to be her boyfriend, but he harshly turned her down. Just then, the angry sister-in-law grabbed him, accusing him of bullying the wife. But he warned her to back off or he would expose her as a fake phoenix and send her back to her village. To get the evidence of her cheating, her mother-in-law had invited them to stay the night. The husband's entire family enthusiastically got the room ready for the couple, filling it with romantic props. Once everyone was gone, the husband got a call from a lawyer who told him that his blind wife had signed a contract to give him all her shares in the company as a wedding gift. Overwhelmed with guilt, the husband realized his wife had always been willing to give him everything. At that moment, his mistress tried to seduce him, reminding him that his blind wife was in the next room with another man. Filled with rage and jealousy, he shoved her away. Just as the hired husband and wife were about to go to bed, the wife told him she wanted him to be her first. He agreed and said he would make sure she had 3 children that very night. As they kissed passionately and fell onto the bed, her real husband entered the room, followed closely by his mistress, ready to catch them in the act. The woman slammed the vase on the floor, screaming at her blind best friend and accusing her of faking her condition the whole time. The girl's fiancé rushed to her side, but the woman insisted it was all a lie, claiming she had proof from the hospital. To stop her from calling, the blind girl slapped the phone out of her hand and then, in a shocking twist, admitted she could see. She deviously claimed the shock of the attack had miraculously cured her. The entire family, completely fooled, rejoiced and celebrated her recovery. They immediately turned on the best friend, with the fiancé slapping her and ordering her to apologize for exposing the truth. Seizing the moment, the fiancé got down on one knee to propose. But when he opened the box, the ring was gone. It was already on the best friend's finger, revealing their affair. As everyone reeled from the shock, the supposedly blind girl accepted the proposal with a sly smile. She then announced their wedding had to be a huge deal to impress high society, where they would exchange expensive gifts. This was all part of her plan, as she knew the family was desperate to give her a share transfer agreement as a wedding present. Ignored by everyone, her true love watched in agony, warning her that her new fiancé was worthless, but she was determined to see her revenge through. Later, the fiancé dragged his mistress outside, promising that even after the wedding he wouldn't leave her. At a dinner party to celebrate the engagement, tensions flared up. The man who truly loved her texted her, begging to talk, but she coldly dismissed him as her aunt's son. When the mistress's friend began making rude remarks about their relationship being a loveless sham, the girl fired back. She shot back that, while she may have been blind for a year, the mistress had clearly aged from the bitterness of their affair. Bride-to-be then sweetly invited her to the upcoming wedding, hoping she could soak up some good luck to avoid falling for another scumbag. Her fiancé smugly agreed. Moments later, the bride excused herself to the restroom after getting a call from her aunt, but her true love followed right behind her. He burst into the women's restroom, cornering her and demanding to know why she was marrying his brother when she knew he was a cheating liar. She coldly told him to mind his own business and not mess with the happy life she had planned. But then she spotted her rival in the mirror, secretly filming them. A wicked smile spread across her face as she suddenly grabbed her true love and kissed him passionately. Just as she planned, the mistress ran off screaming, dragging the fiancé and all their friends to the restroom to witness the affair. They burst in but only found the bride calmly fixing her lipstick. The mistress frantically insisted she saw them kissing, and that her lover must be hiding in the men's room. Just then, he walked out, looking completely calm. As the friend pointed out his busted lip, the mistress fumbled for her phone, screaming that she had video proof, but before she could show anyone, the fiancé slapped the phone out of her hand, smashing it on the ground. He called her insane and warned her to never slander his fiancé again before storming out. Left alone, the bride gloated that no matter how hard the mistress schemed, she was nothing more than a pre-wedding fling. Furious, the mistress shot back that the bride was a fool for faking her blindness, revealing that for the entire year she was in the hospital, her fiancé never visited once because he was busy in bed with her. But the bride just left. The person who took care of her every single day, she revealed, was not her fiancé, but a substitute he hired to take his place, her true love. The mistress was stunned into silence as the bride explained that even if she had slept with the handsome substitute and put a green hat on her fiancé's head, he would still marry her without question. Devastated, the mistress collapsed in tears. As the bride walked away, she finally understood who the man who truly cared for her was. She pulled out her phone, called him, and asked, "Marry me." "Do you dare?" Without a moment's hesitation, he replied, "I dare."